With a length of nearly 4,000 miles, the Yangtze is the third longest river in the world. Its waters are home to several unique aquatic species. But in September 2019, a viral video captures an image of something unprecedented. Taken from a ferry dock, the video captures what looks like a mysterious creature slithering along the surface of the water. You can't see a head, but that sure looks like a powerful tail. And eyeballing its size relative to its distance from the dock and the height of this man observing the scene, it appears to be at least 10 feet long. Once the video goes viral, it racks up tens of millions of views, and a new legend is born.
People dubbed the creature the Three Gorges water monster. Some have speculated that this creature could actually be a giant water snake or eel of some kind that has mutated and become huge thanks to pollution.
Field researcher Ken Gerhardt has extensively studied many of the legendary beasts said to inhabit the waterways of China.
In this part of the world, there are legends of mythical serpent-like creatures. You have the dragons known as the Lung, which are described as huge and serpentine and scaly, with 4 stubby limbs, each with 5 claws. There's also the Naga, described as dark and serpentine, up to 40 feet in length.
So what is this mysterious object slithering through the water? It doesn't seem to be tied to anything towing it along. What does that mean? Let's check with our experts. First, we take the video to our marine biologist, Dr. Shay Conger.
What we see in this video is what appears to be a pretty large animal that appears to have some sort of a tail that's moving back and forth.
Dr. Conger's first guess is that this might be some kind of large eel, but the largest known eel, coincidentally called the European conger, has never been sighted in these waters.
I don't think there's species of eel that are as large as this in the area.
Conger says when it comes to endemic Yangtze River creatures, there are plenty of cool candidates.
One of the unique animals to the area is the giant salamander. It can get up to 6 feet long and weigh over 100 pounds. But I don't think this is a giant salamander because it has a lot of irregularities on the top of it. And if this were a type of salamander, we would expect this would be kind of a smooth animal with a smoother, longer tail moving through the water.
Dr. Conger wonders if this might be the elusive Chinese sturgeon, which can reach lengths of 16 feet.
They evolved over 100 million years ago, so they're, in essence, living prehistoric animals. However, sturgeon have really defined tail fins that would be sticking above the surface of the water. And because I don't see that type of fin or tail, I can conclude this probably isn't a sturgeon.
So could it just be a hoax? We ask our resident video forensic expert, Michael Primo.
I don't see any major splicing that took place throughout this object as it's swimming, if you will.
I do not believe that this recording has been doctored or manipulated with malicious intent.
But Primo digs deeper and finds a telltale sign that things may not be as they seem.
When we look at the ripples as this object is traveling through the water, there is no definitive pattern as it's traveling through the water that we would expect to see from something that we know is like a fish or a shark. There are some unnatural behaviors. Upon further investigation, we came across this recording that is allegedly a dark-colored rubber airbag.
Primo suggests that's not a tail propelling a creature through the water, just a strong Yangtze current moving one end of the big airbag back and forth.
So it is possible that this is what we were actually seeing in the river, and it wasn't actually some sort of river monster.
So, about the theory that the Yangtze River monster was created by pollution. Turns out that's true. But it's not an overgrown snake. It's a long black rubber industrial airbag, likely discarded by a nearby shipyard. But still, there is a lesson here. More and more of the Yangtze's unique aquatic life is going extinct due to pollution and overfishing. August 2020, it's rush hour on a stormy day in Xinjiang City in northeast China. A motorist has his camera focused on a large residential building that is under construction. Suddenly, we see something flying into the frame, towards and then behind the building. Suddenly, the building is engulfed in a massive fireball. Let's see that again. The object appears to be a huge flying creature of some sort. As the flash recedes, we see the flying object continue its path away from the building, which amazingly remains intact. Once the video goes viral, it sparks wild internet speculation about fire-breathing dragons.
When we're faced with a video that suggests that something like a dragon flew over China and breathed fire, so many people are willing to jump on that bandwagon. That says a lot about human beings, both good and bad.
Modern-day encounters with what some feel are flying dinosaurs like the pterosaur, which boasted a 30-foot wingspan, are not uncommon in some parts of the world.
I've interviewed dozens of eyewitnesses who swear that they've seen these living pterosaur creatures flying around in modern times. In Papua New Guinea, they're known as the ropin.
The ropin, also known as the demon flyer, is said to be a monstrous creature that's terrified the natives of Papua New Guinea, which is further south on the Pacific Rim than China. In 1986, a man was even said to have been killed by a ropin and eaten in front of his fellow villagers.
While it seems highly improbable that these animals could still be around, there are many sightings and accounts, and I think we can't totally rule out the possibility.
But even if we entertain the notion that this could be a relic pterosaur, that wouldn't explain the massive explosion. Some internet sleuths put forward another theory involving secret Chinese laser weapons. As recently as July of 2021, a research team in Shanghai announced they had achieved a technological breakthrough that will allow them to build the most powerful laser on the planet. Remember, we have two questions to answer here. Not only what caused that big flash, but what was that thing we see in the air? And just so you know, we tried tracking down whoever shot the video with no luck, which is always reason to ask if the footage is even real. So, our experts have plenty to sort out. Let's get to it. Our wildlife biologist, Dr. Stephanie Schuttler, considers whether or not the flying dino theory has wings.
It doesn't seem to be actively flying. It seems to be gliding. We don't really see any movement of the wings at all.
Dr. Schuttler also notices another key detail when she zooms in on the image.
And it doesn't seem to have like a center body shape at all. So I don't think it's an animal of any sort. It could be like a piece of tarp or a very big piece of plastic or something like that floating in the wind.
So the flying object is confounding us so far, but what about the flash? Maybe it's separate from the object. Our military expert, Tim McMillan, addresses the theory that it's from a space-based laser, maybe a test.
Some of the challenges that any type of laser is going to face is atmospheric refraction. In this video, we see rain, we see haze, fog. All of that is going to greatly reduce any energy any type of laser is going to have. And so you're not going to get an explosion from a laser. So I can say we're not looking at a laser weapon here.
Interesting fact, it was just announced that the U.S. is developing a laser weapon to shoot down the new Chinese hypersonic missiles we mentioned earlier. But that would be used in space, where atmospheric refraction isn't a factor. So it all comes down to video forensic expert Michael Primo. He notices that the flying object seems to have passed the building before the fireball.
Based on this flight path alone, it does not appear that this object created or caused this explosion in this way.
Primo also finds a telltale sign that the video may have been doctored.
At frame 8740, there is a white flash that occurs across the whole screen right before the alleged explosion. So this appears to be a spot where whoever created this recording intentionally avoided the opportunity to see an edit to deceive the viewer.
After further analysis, we also uncovered a report released by Chinese state media that cites the cause of the massive fireball as a random bolt of lightning striking a high-voltage power line near an unfinished residential compound. So, we know what caused the flash. It was lightning striking nearby power lines. That doesn't explain what was flying around before the lightning strike. But thanks to our ace forensic video expert, we're confident declaring that part of the video a pianju. That's Chinese for hoax. July 2020, Montauk, New York. A young couple is walking on the beach. It's midday, and the two are searching for driftwood on the shore.
They noticed some sort of odd smell in the air. As they got closer, they realized there was a dead animal washed up on the beach. Something that definitely does not look normal.
Take a closer look at the dead, decomposing creature of unknown origin.
Its body is bloated, the skin is all tan from probably floating around in the ocean for a couple days, and can you imagine the stench?
The carcass is highly reminiscent of another famous find nearby, the so-called Montauk monster.
News headlines were made around the world in July of 2008 when a bizarre creature washed up on the shores of Ditch Plains.
Everyone had a theory about the 2008 photos. Some wondered if the creature was a turtle without its shell. Some speculated it was a pit bull that had been beaten in an underground dogfight, or a dead raccoon whose hair had come out in the ocean. And what was up with that apparent beak? Might this be something unnatural?
Almost immediately, online conspiracy theories began to circulate that this creature was actually from Plum Island, which is the center of a disease research facility maintained by the United States government.
A 1971 New York Times article described the facility as a devil's island for the deadliest animal disease germs known to man, and a debunked conspiracy theory claimed it was the source of Lyme disease. Adding to the mystery, the rotten corpse disappeared before it could be analyzed.
Well, of course people are gonna connect the dots. This thing has to be from that thing, because I don't know what this is and I don't know what that is, therefore they're probably related.
During the Cold War, Plum Island was the site of a secret biological weapons program targeting livestock. It's currently run by the Department of Homeland Security. So what to make of this recent grisly discovery? The Montauk monster of 2020? We showed the photos to our experts.
This animal at first glance might seem abnormal.
Marine biologist Dr. Shay Conger considers the Plum Island theory. She says neither of the two Montauk monsters look like mutants.
I can tell that this animal isn't some sort of deformed creature because it has every typical aspect of the skeletal structure of a mammal.
So could it be a sea creature of some kind? Wildlife biologist Lucy Eckersley takes a closer look.
You can see it's got all 4 limbs attached and a thin tail.
That says mammal, and she sees hands, which means it's a land creature.
From what I can see from these pictures, it looks like an animal that walks on all 4s. Maybe it could climb trees as well. It could probably grasp things with its 4 limbs. But it also looks quite stocky and round, so I wouldn't necessarily think it was a fast-moving predator that runs after its prey.
That rules out a canine like a pit bull.
The characteristics that I see here, including the teeth, as well as the body structure, and in particular the small front paws that seem to have very thin, flexible fingers. This is relatively easy to identify as a raccoon.
That's a raccoon? Experts say yes, and the original Montauk monster might have been one too. And that beak? Likely the decomposing bones and cartilage of a snout.
Some of the fur is missing, but most of the muscles are still intact. Many animals, if you take away their fur, look very, very different.
Lucy has a point. Check out this creature. Can you name it? Turns out it's a hairless bear.
And so an animal like a raccoon, if you take away its fluffy tail, it's going to look quite unusual. So I don't blame these people for not being sure what this is.
You know, it never helps matters when the corpses of these animals go missing, fueling talk of conspiracy. But in this case, we can tell a lot from the creature's body structure, teeth, and claws. Our verdict? This is the carcass of a raccoon. It's August 2011 in West Allis, Wisconsin. Dozens of people are watching a seemingly unassuming acrobat flip over some of those gathered to watch, and his grand finale is eye-popping. Watch that again in slow motion. The stuntman runs full speed towards an oncoming black sports car. Just as it seems he will be hit, he takes a flying leap and flips right over it cleanly. And he's not the only one who appears to be pulling off such a potentially deadly stunt. In November 2020, a Michigan man was filmed flipping over a red sports car accelerating towards him.
Oh my God!
In another viral video, a British gymnast backflips over a speeding Formula One race car like it's nothing. These situations would end in disaster for most humans. Here's a memorable fail. Makes you wonder if this isn't another CGI prank like we've seen before. You may remember the guy dodging traffic in Colombia. And if it's not a hoax, exactly how are these men pulling this off?
there is this ability in some individuals to shift the rules of reality or the physics of oneself. There have been yogis who, while in the process of deep prayer, were seen floating, literally levitating above the ground.
However, some of those claims of levitation, like that of Yogi Sabaya Polavar supposedly observed by 150 people in 1936, turned out to be a clever hoax involving a concealed pole. So are these modern displays of gravity defiance also fakes, or the real deal? The current Guinness World Record for a standing vertical leap is 67 inches, and that's without a flip and a car careening towards someone. So is this really possible? And what to make of those failed attempts? Whoa, we asked the experts. First, Mick West looks for signs any of these videos were faked. Check out this example. Here the effect was achieved by combining a shot of the flip and one of a driving car taken later, but the Wisconsin flipper is different.
There's nothing that leaps out to me as being a particularly fake video. We see his reflection in the windscreen when he jumps over it. Here. We see the reaction of the crowd.
The shadows also line up in this video from the parking lot, but the video on the racetrack raises a flag.
You'll see right here, there's a large chunk of the rear spoiler missing. And not only just in that frame, but in other frames as well. There's a chunk missing right here. He's obviously very capable of doing backflips. I think they've taken 2 shots identically with the camera perhaps synchronized and composited them together. And they've unfortunately not done a perfect job of it.
As for the other 2 videos, Professor Michio Kaku says these stunts are certainly possible for certain humans with the right physical traits.
The key physical characteristics that these people have to have is coordination of their lower body weight. You want to be able to have strong leg muscles. It's the vertical lift from a dead stop that allows you to perform these gyrations in the air.
You can think of it like a spring. The amount of force that a spring exerts is directly correlated to how far you push the spring down and then how far the spring then expands back up. It's the same with muscles.
It also requires a certain mental acuity. You have to overcome the tendency to tense up as the car is coming at you.
You want to approach it in a loosened and relaxed state. You want your muscles to start out maximally lengthened so that you get the most force that you possibly can out of that contraction.
The single most important characteristic that you have to master is timing. If you take off too late, the car hits you. You take off too early, you land on top of the car.
So, our verdict. These stunts can be faked, as in the case of the racetrack video. But there are certainly people out there capable of leaping over a moving car. In the authentic videos, the talented stuntmen got lucky with the timing, but it could have still ended badly. So don't go trying this at home.